video like this. I've actually been asked quite a few times about doing something similar to this effect. Well, now I can, because I've kind of got everything situated and got this motor kind of being prepped anyways, and have some cross members I can actually do some videotaping on how they look without, being in the car. Obviously I don't have everything tightened, but these are, the basic motor mounts that I sell, motor mount brackets that I sell for $165. And these will just fit on the LS engine blocks, or they'll fit on the AMC V8. So you can actually use these brackets as a direct replacement, in case you don't have your, you can see right there, in case you don't have your factory motor mount, AMC mounts. But anyways, I'm going to go kind of quickly over this stuff. But you do have a gap there. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but the AMX has the same exact gap, same exact oil pan. Never have I ever had an issue with that. You got plenty of clearance from the oil pan, and I will be putting on, showing this with a truck, an LS truck oil pan as well, because you can do it, but we'll go over all that. And then I don't know why, but I actually had a feller that bought a set of motor mounts, and he said, I can't get my motor centered. I'm looking at the hole in the bottom of the cross member and it's not centered. Well, it's kind of weird, but it's just not centered from the factory. I actually measured this out and found the center of it, and it's actually right there, and that thing isn't actually centered. So not on this cross member and not on his. I haven't ever measured the one on AMX to see if it's centered or not, but his is definitely like this one. It's not centered for remotely centered anyways. But yeah, like I said, so a lot of you wanted to see, well, what do they look like? So $165 for these mounts. You use your factory rubber AMC mounts, Jeep, whatever. They're all the same. The threads can be different, like these are a factory original motor mounts off of, I think off of the 390 I had. And these are new ones you get, and they're coarse thread versus fine thread. But, you can set your motor up. You can actually, since these are adjustable, you can raise and lower your motor just a touch bit, because these are slotted as well on top. So you can play with the adjustment a little bit. You can actually have the motor in a little crooked if whatever reason, but so that's that setup there. I'm going to throw on the LS truck pan next, and we'll kind of look at that one. Alright, well here it is with this nasty greasy LS oil pan. And no, I wasn't going to clean it up for this because I don't have any use for this oil pan. I was actually going to throw it away, but I decided I should probably make this video. So anyways, this is a factory truck LS oil pan. You can use this LS oil pan, the factory one, in an inline car or a V8 car, but this is the problem. You got about 3.5 inches of oil pan hanging down. That other oil pan is just about flush. I think it sticks down maybe 1/4 inch. So I have scraped the bottom of one of these pans with the AMX back in the day, but that was before I had front shocks on it and rebuilt the front end. The wife has been driving this Gremlin around for, I don't know, going on 1.5 to 2 years now. She's never actually hit this oil pan, but she's been running a truck oil pan on this Gremlin for that amount of time. And this is actually the oil pan that was on the AMX, and you saw that good old scrape there. How we didn't break it, I don't know. But anyways, you got clearance on it. You got a little bit less room on this oil pan from the other one, but it does clear. And the other problem with it is it's really tough to put this engine in the AMC car through the top with the transmission on, because that sump hangs down so low. So it kind of can be done in the V8 cars. You absolutely cannot put the transmission and engine in at the same time, no matter what angle you have. In a 6-cylinder crossmember, it won't work with this truck pan because it just hangs too low and it gets caught up and wedged on everything. Like I said, no matter what angle you have it on. So you do have to put the engine in first and then put the transmission in. But I haven't had the chance to use the new oil pan, so I will let you guys know on the Facebook group page if that changes. But so that's that old crusty LS factory pan. Like I said, you can use them, they just hang down pretty low. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I actually pulled the cross member out of this Gremlin, the 6-cylinder cross member, and I'm going to put the adapters on the mounts and put the 6-cylinder cross member on, and we'll have a look at both oil pans with the 6-cylinder cross member. And one last thing too, I've had a couple of people reach out and said, I can't get my motor, my oil pan centered. It's not centered. It's, further out on the passenger side. Well, if you're using the truck oil pan, it's shorter on the driver's side, so it gives it that illusion that it's actually off-centered, but it's actually not off-centered. It's just got a off to the side sump. But anyways, I will get this other cross member set up and we'll have a look at that one. Okay, well here's where things start to get a little bit more complicated. So these are the other mounts. Basically, they're the same exact mounts as the V8s, but these come with an adapter plate for the inline cross member. Like most of you already know, you can run a truck pan with this setup. A few problems that you start having are you're going to rub on the oil pan a little bit here, which that oil pan has rubbed on there. It never rubbed all the way through, but it does touch and rub a little hole in there eventually. So if you're going to do that, then I recommend you take a cut-off wheel or a flap disc and grind that down a little bit. And then your clearance is not very adequate. It has clearance, but it doesn't at the same time. It's kind of weird. It's all on that side, and it's the way that the cross member curves. So this cross member is really wonky. It's not just a perfect shape. It's kind of all over the place as far as how it's shaped. And then obviously when you put a V8 in there, you're going to have tilt. The 6-cylinder is always tilted, and the LS and the Gremlin was always tilted, but I never had any issues. And you can actually run a truck intake and not cut a hole in your hood. It'll shut with the factory hood with no cutting, running a actual truck intake. So it does tilt back a little bit in there, but you still have plenty of room for transmission bolts and access and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be tight no matter what. But I don't recommend a truck pan. And the other problem with the truck pan is to get it centered, to actually get the motor where it's straight up and down and not slightly over to the side, is really hard to do, and it's because of that curvature inside the oil pan there. So you're kind of have a crooked sitting motor. It's really hard to see that it's even crooked. The only way you can tell is by looking under the car. So that's kind of the drawback, especially on the 6-cylinder cross member. And that's when I was talking about you cannot put a transmission on this LS and then try to drop it in the car. It's just, there's no room. The firewall is just right there. There's no room to actually do it. It doesn't matter how much of an angle you try to put it in, it will not clear this cross member. So the other thing too is with the mounts, they're all fully adjustable any direction, up, down, sideways, tilt, whatever. When you're running it on this, you're going to be tilted outwards quite a bit, which is fine, but that's what they're designed for. And then I've run into a few people that's had some bent, or their car's been in a car crash or something, and they had some issues, but they were able, with some minor adjustments, to get everything to fit, even with a slightly wrecked AMC unibody. But with all that out of the way, I'm going to put the short pan on, and we'll have a look and see the fitment on that. Alright, and finally, the oil pan of choice, which these are usually labeled as Nova or Chevelle LS swap pans. Do not get a Camaro swap pan. If it's just for a Camaro, do not get it. It's not going to work. Do not get any pans that have a double step in them, because you'll get some that are supposed to be LS swaps, and they'll go like this, and then they'll come up and step before they get to the sump. Those will not work either. You just want a regular Nova or Chevelle swap style oil pan. Now look at all this room you got. Tons of room. Plenty of adjustment. You can bring the motor forward as much as you want, because I've got them, the way I got these adjusted, they're pointing out to clear that truck pan. You can bring this all forward if you wanted to. You can actually raise and lower this the way that's adjusted. So maybe this motor's sitting too high for you, you want to adjust it out. Well, you definitely can on this one. You weren't able to on a truck oil pan. And then I didn't spend too much time fooling with it, but it's off a little bit, but you can actually center your engine in your cross member by adjusting all of this stuff. Unlike the truck pan, it's still kind of locked in the same position the truck pan was in. But getting all that dirt on my new oil pan. Actually, it's Chelsea's oil pan. It's not even mine. It's for her car. The last thing I'm going to do is throw on the exhaust manifold, sort of, kinda. I really don't have a head to stick it on, but I'm going to see what I can invent here real quick. And I'm only going to put on this side, because this is the side that everybody has a lot of questions on. Alright, well lastly, this is kind of the hardest thing. Okay, especially if you're trying to move the motor. I wouldn't be able to move the motor much more forward if I wanted to. I'd have to reinvent this exhaust, which there's a good chance I am going to reinvent it, because we're using a lower oil pan. But as you can see, I've had to put a dent in that crazy tube I made to clear that. So you're basically having to take block huggers, if this is the way you go, and get I think that's like a 45 tailpipe. It's actually real, trust me, it's really simple to make. It's not very hard. Just kind of have to set it in there and cut it down some and weld it all together. But you kind of got to come off this way and then straight down, flat with your collector there. Now the nice thing about this is you can actually get your starter in and out of the car. You don't have any starter issues. Problem with it is you can't really get to your bolts very well when there's wiring, transmission cooler lines, and all that stuff going on. So I highly recommend you put your motor mounts on, get all your motors straightened, then put your exhaust manifolds, build those. And this manifold will actually come out of the car without taking the engine out or doing anything. You can unbolt it and pull it right out. And then it gets pretty close to the motor mounts, the way those are set up. But anyways, like I said, that's just kind of what I wanted to go over with everybody while I had all this stuff laying around and was able to. I appreciate everybody that watches this channel. You guys mean a lot to me, even though I don't put out a whole lot of videos, but just been real super busy with all that. And I enjoy all your comments, and I even read and enjoy some of the negative comments, which I get probably a lot more of those than I do positive ones, but that's okay. And that leads me to my last thing. I'm going to post this link on a lot of different AMC group pages, and those guys are always the first to write the most horrible comments they can, which I know they don't even watch the video, but if they do watch a video, and if you are watching this video, instead of sitting there being all butthurt about what I'm doing, don't watch it and don't leave a response. I've been raised to believe that you just keep your opinions to yourself and everybody's happy. So, but anyways, you can leave whatever kind of comment you want. Like I said, it just makes more people watch the videos. I think when I notice my YouTube thing, when I get a lot more negative comments, I get a lot more views. So I guess that's really okay. I just don't see why people waste their time doing that stuff. So anyways, like I said, I do appreciate everybody else, and I hope this video really helps out and clarifies a lot of stuff for you guys. And I'm going to try to get some more stuff going. Like I said, I'm just super swamped busy at work and super swamped busy trying to get this gremlin going and getting it back together. Oh yeah, the last thing I was going to mention. You could probably put a factory full-size V8 crossmember into this into a small body car. The only thing is you'd have to slot these or drill holes about right here, because they're about a 3/4 inch shorter. And then I don't know if the A-arms are exact. I didn't really get too well into it, but those look like they're pretty much the same distance. So, but anyways, I was just throwing that out there. I'm not going to do that, but somebody out there might be able to figure that one out. So, all right, until the next video, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.